This painting was made with a cheap set of watercolours, and today I'm going to show you how to paint this lovely ladybird or ladybug, depends on where you live, I know, using the pen and wash technique. So let's make a start. The paints I'm using today are by Mei Liang, which are made by Paul Rubens Art Supplies, and the paper is Bockingford 140 cold pressed. Now when you're working with a pen and wash technique, always use waterproof pens. If you use a normal biro or a felt tip pen, you find that pen will just blur when we add the watercolour over the top later on. And you'll end up with one big mess on the paper. So make sure that your pens are certainly waterproof. The one I'm using here is one made by Pilot, but there's a variety of waterproof pens out there on the market. So see what you can find. All I want to do here is go around the main outline first of all, with this 0.1 size nib, so it's nice and fine. I'm not trying to be too precise, because when you look at that grass blade, you can make it whatever shape you want, I know. So if the line's not quite over the top of the pencil marks, don't worry, it's not a problem. And by the way, once you've got all that pen work done, then you can erase the pencil marks from underneath it. But make sure that the pen is dry first, okay? Oh, I mustn't forget, I've got a video for you to have a look at here as well, on how to use a pen and wash technique to be able to paint a tufted titmouse. I know, such a cute bird. I'll pop the link to the top right hand corner of the screen for you. Why don't you watch that one after you've watched this one first? The next stage is to add some shading in there as well, because what we're trying to do here is create more of a three-dimensional feel to it. Even when you get to the wing cases on the ladybird, you can see on the photograph that it's shaded more towards the bottom end of the ladybird, then gradually gets lighter the higher up it goes. And at this stage you can also use the side of the pen to graze the nib. What that does, by putting the pen nearly on its side, you can just literally catch the edge of the nib very lightly with no weight on the pen at all. You find you'll be able to graze the paper and actually create lighter tones. Now these Mei Liang watercolours have got quite a variety of colours and they're very intense as well, as you can see on my colour chart. So I'm trying to work out what colours to use, such as olive green, burnt sienna, maybe ink green, that's a new one for me as well. You see, even though you find colours which are not the same as the ones that you would normally use, as long as you compare those colours to your reference photograph that you're working from, then you can only work out just by comparing colours to the photograph which colours to mix for that project. Oh, and I do have a video on doing that as well. So all I want to do here is add some bright greens to begin with. For this I'm using a size 2 brush, and this is a synthetic bristle brush by Rosemary & Co. Now all the materials which I use for this painting are in the link in the description down below. Then while still damp, I drop in those mid-tones, so the slightly darker green. And then when it's nearly dry, not quite, I'll also drop in the darkest colour as well. All I've added to the green is a little bit of black. Wash that brush out so it's clean but damp. Then lift off a few highlights. This will give it more of a three-dimensional feel as well. Now for those wing cases, which we know are bright red. So I'm looking at these Mei Liang watercolours again, trying to work out what to have. I might go for that vermilion with a little bit of maybe deep red. We'll try that. I want all my watercolours to be more of a watery consistency. At least then I can layer those watercolours as I go along. I don't add too much paint in one go, because if you do that, what can sometimes happen is if you make mistakes you can't always fix them. Because we know that some paints are staining, aren't they? And when they stain the paper, I know, you can't lift them off. Well, not very well anyway. So let's put this bed on first of all, but very carefully using my size 2 brush again. But I want to make a dark colour to go underneath it as well, because remember it's quite dark down there, isn't it? So black and red mixed together so it works with the painting, and apply this just solely to the very bottom area. Now when you get this paint on, you want to very lightly blend it into the red. And to do that, just wipe your brush off on some kitchen roll just a few times. Don't bother washing it. Then using light tiny circles, just blend the edge of that black into that red. So you can't really see where one colour starts and the other colour finishes, sort of thing. Then you can start to fill in the rest of the red on those wing cases. But be mindful that there's a highlight spot to the top right hand corner of those wing cases, isn't there? All we need to do is use a damp clean brush, just wet around the edge of that highlight spot and blend that red into that wet edge. That both soften and lighten that red around the highlighted area, but very carefully, very gently. If you put too much on, just wash that brush out, give it a dry, then pull off a little bit of paint with a damp, clean brush. And that will add to both the highlighted area, but also the shape to the top of those wing cases there. And just tweak it and fine tune it whilst it's still wet. If the paint starts to dry, then you want to leave it to dry completely. At least then you've got the option to overlay it with another layer of paint if you need to afterwards. But only do that when it's really dry though, otherwise you risk disturbing the paint underneath. We need both a black and a blue. Why? Well, the black is obviously for the head and the legs, but there's also a hint of blue in the head as well. Again, look closely at that reference photograph and you see what I mean there. The black I want it to be a cool black. It's certainly not a warm black like I've used before. So first things first, the lightest tone, which is the blue. I know, the lightest bit. I want to put a bit of blue around first of all, but not right to the far left hand side. Because that's where the light is, isn't it? And because we've got some catch lights in the area, I want that to remain so. So lightly soften down the edge of the blue using a damp, clean brush. And then, whilst it's still wet, you can drop in the black. But you want to be able to control where that black goes though. So look carefully again at that photograph, trying to work out where the lightest parts are and the darkest areas are. And also the way it sort of fades and gets lighter, the more to the left hand side it goes. So a damp clean brush again and very lightly softens some of the black down. So then we've got more of a varied feel to the colours, but also creates more interest within this area. And all I'm using is a damp clean brush and very small tiny circles. That's it. If it's too dark in places, lift off a few highlights here and there. Then do the same thing for the head and also those legs. Oh, and don't forget those antennas as well. Now if you do like this video, please subscribe down below. And don't forget to press that bell icon as well. Every time you like and share my videos, then therefore it will help other artists find my content as well. And hopefully give them some ideas on how to paint wildlife in watercolour. In this case, using the pen and wash technique. Do take a note as well that when you get to those legs, there's a slight highlighted area to the top end of those legs. So these small sections of white paper, and by doing so that will help separate those different sections we can see within those legs. As for painting the spots, well, what we need to do there is use the same black again. So this sort of bluey black. Try to follow those shapes you can see in that photograph. I made a bit of a mistake here. I've made this one slightly wider, but of course it doesn't matter. And all you need to do is simply fill these black spots in. That's it. But very carefully. Once you've got them all filled in, we now need to use a size 00 brush and lift off some very fine marks within those wing cases. And all I'm using here is a piece of kitchen roll folded up and a damp, not soaking wet, clean size 00 brush. You can see the shapes along those wing cases, can't you? They're sort of curved down from the top down towards the dark end. But we've also got some fine dots as well. So use a clean brush for 3 or 4 marks, give it a rinse out, semi-dry it, and then do the same again. Now you know I mentioned that video on how to paint a tufted titmouse using the pen and wash technique. Well, here it is in the top right hand corner of the screen for you. I'll see you there.